Hello gardening friends and welcome to All About Gardening. My name is Madison and today we are talking about these luscious leafy plants over here known as Alocasias. Now there are many Alocasias around the world to choose from, big, small, different shapes, different colors. This one is called a Dragon Alocasia, a very interesting cultivar name, but there's plenty to choose from. And they are great for growing indoors. They come from the tropics, they love warmth and high humidity, and with a bit of knowledge on the quirks that they have, they're not too difficult to care for either. In this one in particular, I love the contrasting veins and the color of the stems, which is exactly why I want to make more of this specific variety through propagation. There are a number of ways to propagate alocasias. The easiest way is to simply divide them if your plant is the right size, but because of their interesting growth habits, they also develop little corms in the soil that you can use to propagate, and I'm going to show you both of those methods today. For both of these propagation methods, you'll need to take the plant out of the soil, remove the soil, and repot. So we're going to do them both at the same time today. So I'm going to gather everything I need. To propagate from corms, you'll need a shallow container that's clear with a lid. You can also, if you don't have a container with a lid, just use plastic wrap over the top. We need a sharp pair of shears, or if you prefer, a sharp craft knife. And then, of course, we need our new potting soil. So I'm going to bring in this container here that is full of houseplant potting mix and a new recycled plastic pot for the divisions. The Alocasia I'm going to work with today has unfortunately been a little bit neglected. The soil is unevenly moist, so it's been a bit underwatered, and you can see spots from where it was left in full sun. So I'm going to propagate this one today, see if I can give it a new lease on life and tidy it up. When propagating, before you start, you want to see if dividing would be possible. So you need to look close to the base of the plant to look for these tiny baby plants that are offset from the rhizome. So there's some small leaves over here, but with this you can see that these leaves are pretty full, they're well developed, and they should be able to grow on their own without being attached to the main plant. You can also look for corms in the base of the soil, but they can be tricky to find, so it's normally better to wait until you are ready to repot, to get rid of the soil and go digging to see if you can find any. So we're going to take this plant out of its pot now to see what we can find. I've just brought the camera closer so that you can get an up-close look at what's going on underneath the soil. So, to take this out of its pot, I'm going to squeeze the sides, not that it really needs it because it's a bit dry. And I'm going to gently pull it out of the container. Now we're just going to get rid of all this excess soil over here so that we can get a closer look at what's going on with each of these divisions. Normally you don't have to take this much soil off, it's not a requirement, but for the purposes of showing you what these little offsets look like, I'm just going to take more than what is needed. With most of the soil removed, we can get a closer look at what's happening at the base of the plant. This is the offset we want to remove and divide. We can see it's got plenty of healthy roots and the leaves look strong, so we know it will be able to grow on its own. There weren't many corms or bulbs. There was a big one on this side and one over here. Some of them fell off when I was removing the soil. So even though not all of them are 100% likely to root, we can pop them all in water anyway just to increase our chances when propagating. Now that the plant is ready, I'm going to get started with the process of division. So I've got my two containers here, the one that the plant came in and one of my recycled pots. And I'm going to start off by filling them with my houseplant potting mix. This is a mixture of 2 parts potting soil, 1 part coconut coir and 1 part perlite. I use it for most tropical houseplants. It drains really well, but it also holds on to enough moisture to keep the roots happy. So with these prepared, it's time to start the process of separation. Picking up the plant here, I'm going to get a closer look at how this is attached. So we can see there it's connected to the rhizome. So what we can do is simply pull it off, depending on the size. It should be okay as is, but just to be safe and to avoid any damage, I'm going to cut it off with my sharp craft knife. So I'm going to grab this guy here. Also make sure it's clean, that it hasn't been used before on any other plants, which prevents the spread of disease. Looking closer, I'm just going to slice it off, keeping as many of these roots intact as I can. And there we have our little division ready for replanting. These things are adorable, and they grow really quickly too to develop into full plants. So now all that's left to do is to repot this guy in here and then replant the parent plant again. I'm just going to make a hole in the soil, bury this little division with all of its roots, making sure to keep the soil line at the same level so that you avoid rotting any of the stems. And then I'm just going to press down gently to anchor it in place. And there you have it, a brand new Alocasia plant. I'm going to do the same with this so that we can turn one plant into two. Now that these two plants are potted up, all there is left to do is water them to allow the roots to settle, and then you can put them back where they were originally to continue growing, and that's the whole process of division. But we can't forget about the second method of propagation, which is propagating from corms or bulbs. So what I'm going to do is bring in this Tupperware here that's got a very shallow level of filtered water in it already. And I got 4 corms or bulbs from this Alocasia plant. So I'm going to root them all. This one already has a root, which is a very good sign, but we're hoping that the other 3 are also going to develop some roots. Couldn't be easier. All you have to do is pop them in the shallow water, making sure that there is some contact with the water and that some of the corm is also exposed to the air. Otherwise, all it's going to do is rot. Then replace the lid, keep it closed, and from there, you just wait for them to root. The lid is to improve humidity, increase warmth inside the container, but if you do keep it closed permanently, you can open yourself up to problems with rotting. So for about an hour a day, all you need to do is take it off, get rid of any excess water in here that can cause any problems, give the corm some air, and then you can replace it again. If you leave this in a warm spot away from direct sun, roots will slowly develop, and any that haven't rooted, you can just throw away. Once the roots have developed, you can pot them into the same mixture, or you can use a propagating mix of equal parts coconut coir and perlite, just to give it a head start when the leaves and stems are developing. After that, you can plant it into a regular houseplant potting mix. This does take a little bit longer, but it does make for a really interesting gardening experiment. There aren't many houseplants that you can propagate this way, so it's definitely worth a try. For some more details on the propagating process or on how to take care of these plants, you can head to allaboutgardening.com where we have full tutorials, or you can check out the other videos on our channel for more houseplant tips and tricks.